So, will the protesters' actions have any effect in the long term? And at what stage does such disruptive action lead to a loss of public support? Well, to discuss that, I'm joined by a visiting professor of forecasting and innovation at London South Bank University, right in the middle of all the disruption, no doubt, James Woudhuysen. Thank you, sir, for your time this afternoon. Are you a fan of these protesters?
No, I'm not actually. I fully accept the right for free speech, to protest, even to disrupt, providing that the protesters can persuade the people that their cause is just. And I don't believe the planet does face extinction. I certainly don't believe we can end all carbon dioxide emissions on a net basis by 2025. And I think there is a somewhat contemptuous attitude that the protesters share with Parliament in relation to the common man and woman in the street. I think we need much more persuasion before we can get along with this kind of inconvenience.
Right, we're not really here to discuss whether climate change is a real threat or not, but in terms of disruptions and disrupting the capital, what do you think of that, James?
Well, if it was the Gilets jaunes, the yellow vests in France, who are supported by 70% of the population and are angry with the government for increasing taxes on diesel cars, all in the name of climate change, then of course I'd be along with the 70% and be prepared to have my commute interrupted and all of these things. I think when you're dealing with people who claim the mantle of Martin Luther King, who believe that young people or even 6-year-olds have enough political experience and moral compass to tell us the future and instruct us terrible adults to cut back on our consumption, that's a rather different matter. That doesn't persuade me or the common person that the inconvenience suffered is the right cause, and it doesn't put forward a political movement, really, beyond a few hundred people seeking the television cameras by using glue on public transport. It's very dangerous, invites even more police presence than we have already stewarding demonstrations. And I don't think it's, serves the cause of democracy at all. I think you'll find with Sadiq Khan and Chris Bryant many sympathisers with them. They don't like the inconvenience, but they do think they're doing the right thing. I don't think they are doing the right thing. If you breathe out right now, like that, 18% of the human body is carbon, and you're breathing out carbon dioxide all the time. We get much of our cars, our planes, our utensils from carbon. It's a wonderful material.
Okay, James. Let's bring in the environmental journalist Gaia into this debate. Gaia, I know that you were smiling there, so you're listening to what James has got to say. I mean, fundamentally, he doesn't think it's a good idea. These protests aren't going to go anywhere. How would you respond to that?
Oh, I was just laughing at the notion that we breathe out carbon dioxide, so carbon dioxide is great. That's to fundamentally misunderstand human-caused climate change, which is, of course, not the amount of carbon dioxide we're breathing out. That is not the problem, because we recycle the carbon dioxide, the plants recycle it. What's happening is we are burning fossil fuels, which is stored carbon, adding to the carbon dioxide load, and it's causing all sorts of problems, from acidification of the oceans, which is helping lead to the first ecosystem extinction that we will see on the planet, which is the of coral reefs.
But back to the demonstrators today. Gaia. James is just getting his earpiece fixed, so we'll sort that out in a minute. But Gaia, the demonstrators, is it not counterintuitive to target public transport and force commuters into cars? The very thing you're trying to do is cut down on CO2 emissions. Do you not see the irony there?
I think that what they are doing is raising awareness of an issue which hasn't been dealt with by humanity. This is a really serious problem that we're facing, and I think that whatever movement that they are doing, which is a non-violent protest, is actually really important. We can all make a difference in different ways. Perhaps James has a different way of raising awareness of this issue. I don't know what his way is, but I'm sure he will agree that climate change is a very, very important issue.
Okay, yeah, James. We're talking about it. So the protesters are doing some good, aren't they? Because they've got the subject on the news across the country. How would you do it? What would your tactics be in terms of
Well, I don't
raising
think they are
awareness?
doing good. You see, I think they're angering a lot of people who need to know the right truth about climate change. And the truth is very simply this, that if you want to lower carbon emissions, I've got no problem with that. I believe in climate change. If you want to do it, then you've got to spend a lot more money on research and development for nuclear power, for nuclear fusion,
And the
for solar
governments aren't
panels,
doing that. So these protesters are trying to
They're
get the
not
government
doing
to
that.
change their mind, or
they are not,
policymakers
they
to
are
change
not,
their mind.
If you'll allow me to speak, please. The government is pouring no money into research and development in these fields. Nuclear power, which is a low-carbon source of energy, is at a standstill throughout the West. And I don't hear any demands for technological development from Extinction Rebellion. What I hear is that we should all cut back, that we should cycle to work, that we should have cycle lanes for the privileged, that we should not drive a car, that we should be taxed so that we should not drive a car or use gas in the home, which is something actually the government is far from being aware of. They are trying, under the auspices of the Committee on Climate Change, to deny homes gas boilers, gas cooking, and that kind of thing very shortly. So it's a travesty of the facts to say that the public or people lack awareness on climate change. What they are not convinced about is that these counterproductive and contemptuous, self-indulgent and narcissistic tactics are the way to build our way out of the problem that humanity has partly caused with a warming planet.
Can I cut in there?
Yes, you can, Gaia. Please come in.
Sorry to be one of the narcissistic common people.
Don't apologise.
No, I'm not really apologising.
No, I realise that.
Sarcasm in my take, brilliant. So what I'm saying is that that's all well and good. It hasn't worked, okay? It hasn't worked. Your method hasn't worked.
Well, why? There's been no R&D. You've never called for any R&D. You don't know what R&D is.
Let Gaia come back, please. Let Gaia come back.
I don't know what R&D is.
Yeah.
I trained as a chemist. I think I know what R&D is.
Well, tell me about the way in which your movement has called for more panels and photovoltaic technologies.
James, you've had your time. Let Gaia come in, please. Gaia, you have the final say. 1 minute, Gaia.
Right. So technology will and is already providing a lot of the solutions to our energy needs. Renewable energy has been massively invested in. But the other issue is, of course, social. So we need to reorganise ourselves socially. That means demanding, for example, that the UK doesn't anymore, as it is at the moment, lead the European Union in giving subsidies to fossil fuels. Okay, we're subsidising fossil fuels in this country more than we are subsidising renewable energy.
Complete rubbish.
Okay. No, it's not complete
rubbish.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you both each other's numbers and you can carry on this after the debate because we unfortunately have run out of time. Gaia Vince, thank you. Unfortunately, I meant. Gaia Vince, thank you so much. And James Woudhuysen, a really interesting debate. Thank you very much.